Okay. So the energy is a good one. Hanukkah is tonight. We're excited. We set the table. For those that are cooking soon, we're going to cook soon. It's a nice time. It's a festive time. It's a time of light. And I want to share with you the idea that I'm bringing into Hanukkah this year. Every year, Baruch Hashem, especially for a holiday, I almost theme my holidays. And thank God there are so many different dimensions to Hanukkah. But today I wanted to share what I'm coming into this holiday, what tonight's going to mean for me. I want to share with you so that if you'd like to share it, if you'd like to be a part of it, please. Before I get into that idea, I want to say that there is no coincidence that Hanukkah always falls. No, actually, before I even start, sorry. Before I even start, for those new that are joining, this has been a Midrasha that started up until after Chagim, and we have some familiar faces. And I first need to say a big thank you. I need to say a big thank you to the students here that were here. Esther gave me a very nice Hanukkah gift yesterday because my very lovable students that are here that have been following contributed to a Hanukkah gift for me. And so I first have to start with my Hakarat Hatov. Thank you for all those that contributed to this collective gift. I have to tell you, yesterday when I received the news, it was like a little child that, went home after school and opened up that gift of Hanukkah. So thank you. Really, thank you. I want you to know that the giving that you've given to me humbles me, and I'm overwhelmed by it. So thank you. Thank you for all those. Esther, thank you. That's first and foremost, before I even start, sorry. Okay, so it's not a coincidence that Hanukkah is in between usually the two parashas that speak of Yosef. Vayishev and Miketz are usually between the times that we celebrate Hanukkah, and there is no coincidence with that. I want to touch upon who Yosef is, aside from the fact that my husband is called Yosef. Yosef in the Torah is meant to have two specific names that nowhere else in the Torah do we give him or allocate him that name. Could somebody maybe guess what are the names that we called Yosef? Yosef, Hatzadik. Nowhere else is it mentioned. Someone else we call Hatzadik. Ivri. Yosef Hatzadik, Ivri. And then there's one more that I know of. No, just in 3 times in the Parsha we say Yosef Ish Matzliach. Yosef Ish Matzliach, which translates Yosef, the man of success. Now, for those that know Yosef's story, it's not a very successful story. Poor guy went through a very, very, very difficult challenge in his life. First, very jealous. His brothers were very jealous of him, sold him to the Egyptians. He was put in a pit. It endangered his life. He was put into jail. So many temptations did he have in his life, but yet he is called and given the name Ish Matzliach. What gave him the name to be a Matzliach? Why, despite all the other characters that we have in the world, was he given the privilege to be a successful man? Because his success came from the mere idea that despite all the adversity and despite all of the challenges, he rose above. He was a man that, okay, my brothers, he would come and say how he was loved by his father, Yaakov, but he didn't see it as a way of trying to make them jealous. He see it as a way, I'm so loved, I want to share. Okay, he was sold to the Egyptians, yet he didn't see that he was going in a doomstone. He didn't see that he was going down into a jail, into a pit. He kept his faith. He trekked on. So much so that when he was in the jail site, there was the Sar HaTebachim and Sar HaOfim, two people, two Egyptians that had dreams, and they asked him, they said, these are my dreams. And he said, you know what? I was gifted with a way to interpret dreams. I will interpret your dreams. Imagine a man that was sold by his brothers, betrayed by his family, took out of his home to a cave that he doesn't know, a place that he's not familiar with. And yet, all he thinks is, how could he inject himself in the world? How can he give to another? This is my secret going into Hanukkah. The teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe say, if we can encapsulate them in one sentence, it's the following, and it's a sentence that I think that I live by every single day, and I want to share it with you ladies today. The more you give of yourself, the more of yourself you have to give. And I'll repeat that. The more you give of yourself, the more of yourself you have to give. Now, I'm not trying to deny the self-care. Everybody should have some self-care. But being a mother, being a wife, being a teacher, actually, I realized that what replenishes me the most is where I could give of myself the most. What makes me feel most alive is where I could pour in a little bit of me, where I could nurture those that come into my space. I'm going to share a very interesting debate that there is in the Talmud. In the Talmud, especially in Chanukah time, there's Rav and Shmuel, two big Talmudic authorities. And there's a question. They ask a question. If there's not a shamash, if there's not that one exterior candle to light the rest of the candles, can we use one of the other candles to light another Hanukkah candle? We understand the question? If I don't have a shamash, an exterior candle that goes ahead and lights all the candle, can I use one of the pre-existing candle lights and light another candle? So Rav goes ahead and says no. Shmuel goes ahead and says yes. Rav goes ahead and explains his no by saying, if you take away from an existing Hanukkah candle, the oil might spill. It might diminish the light of the other candle. You can't light another existing candle when this one has to stand as a Hanukkah candle alone. And Shmuel just says no, without any kind of explanation. Now, usually in the Talmud and the Gemara, we usually go by Rav's opinion. But there are 3 exceptions in the Torah that we don't. And one of the exceptions is this debate of Hanukkah where we go by Shmuel. There are 2 kinds of Jews that exist in the world. So the ones that feel that they have to go and learn Torah, they have to understand it, they have to interpret it for themselves. And if they are even bothered a little bit to help another, it will take away from their Torah studies. It will take away from what they could give of themselves to themselves. So I can't be bothered because it could diminish. It could diminish my time that I have for myself. But yet we are told on Hanukkah we follow Shmuel. Shmuel that represents the second Jew that says, you're a light, you have a light, you're given a light. Even if you're standing alone as a light, you need to pour and you can go ahead and light other candles. Because if you light one candle, you increase in light. One candle that we lit, now we have 2 candles that we lit. A 3rd candle, a 4th candle, we are igniting the light. So if the idea is to bring more light, yes, you must not only concentrate on your light and light those on others. And tonight, by the Chanukiah candle, you're going to hear the dance of the flames. And you're going to hear the sound of what the flame gives you and what tells you. That flame, what is it? And I took this whole concept from the candle workshop that we had at Esther's house. She made us close our eyes and imagine the inner flame that is within us. The Hasidic teachings tell us that our neshama, the biggest representation of our neshama, if we had to put it into some kind of image, is that of a flame. The flame always looks to go upwards, like our neshama, that really, if you unwrap what it wants in essence, is always Hashem, is to go upwards. It always wants elevation. It sways in harmony. Tonight you'll see it when we light the candle. It sways in peace. Our neshama, if we again unwrap what it is in essence, it wants peace. It wants wholesomeness. It's pure. It's not, it's not distorted. It can illuminate a room. It hushes out a darkness. Our neshamas do the same. And there's no coincidence also that in Hanukkah, we put it to the window. It's actually in Eretz Yisrael, we put it outside, right? In Eretz Yisrael, it's said to put outside. Why? Because we are a light upon the nations. If our light is strong and illuminated, we shed light to all the other nations around us. It's up to us. And now think about when you put two lights together. Does it go down? Does it feel diminished? No, on the contrary, it goes higher and higher and higher and higher. So the message I'm coming into Hanukkah is, how much more can I be a light to someone else? How can every night, Rabbi Jacobson actually says, it's Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson that says, every night if you could do a cheshbon nefesh, an accounting of your day, it's, were you able to impact somebody today? Were you able to even smile, share a word of kindness, share love, share of your space, of your time, of your knowledge? What did you do to give of somebody else? And sometimes if there's no one to call that night, you look into the mirror and you say, were you kind to yourself? What did you do to share in your inner light? What did you do to augment, to grow, to make bigger and stronger your own light, like Esther said before? But we must not stop at ourselves. We must understand how we can share this light on. I'm going to share a story of Rav Levi Yitzhak Berdichev. He once had a chassid that came up to him and asked and said, I want to meet Eliyahu Hanavi. You want to meet Eliyahu Hanavi? Okay, no problem. On the Seder night, sorry that I'm taking us already to Pesach. On the Seder night, you're going to go outside of the city. You're going to meet a Jew outside of this city, and you're going to stay by his house. And there, you'll be able to meet Eliyahu Hanavi. Really? Yes. Pack your stuff. Pesach is in a few days. Go on to meet Eliyahu Hanavi by going to so-and-so address, okay? I absolutely want to meet Eliyahu Hanavi. It's a thing on Pesach night, you know, that we put the kos of Eliyahu and we want to meet Eliyahu Hanavi. I'm determined, I want to see him. It's not that I think that I'm worthy, but you're my Rav, and I believe in what you tell me, and so I will go to this Jew and I will meet Eliyahu Hanavi there. So he travels out of the city and into this countryside, and he sees a very unrefined, broken down home with a bunch of kinderlach, a lot of kids running around. And this chassid, who usually does Seder night in elegance, with respect, with dignity, knocks on this door that almost breaks down and says, hello, I was sent from my Rebbe to come and spend Seder night by you. May I be here? And he says, of course, anybody that knocks at our door, we would love to bring them. We would love for you to be our guest, but please understand that we are of a certain standard. We have minimal, but whatever we eat, you will join with us in our festivity. Please be our guest. So when he sees the condition and he sees the hay of bed that he's going to lay within the next 3 days, he tells himself, no. This is not the way to experience the Seder night, to experience Pesach alone. He speaks to his assistant and he says, you're going to go to the nearest town. I want you to get the best of foods, get the best of silver dining, get the best so that we can amplify and beautify this table. I want them to experience a Pesach like I experienced, the top of the line. So they go to the nearest towns. Within a couple of days before Pesach, they beautify, they amplify, they make it grandiose for this family. And his family is so humble. This family is so touched by his generosity, by his kindness, and wanting to give and give and give. And the first night of the Seder, he stays up, this chassid, and he waits. He thinks that he did a good thing by providing as much as he can to the family, and now he waits. He waits that Eliyahu Navi will, bless him with his presence. And Eliyahu Navi doesn't show up. Okay, thank God, there's a second night. It must be that Eliyahu Navi is going to come, and he's going to be here for the second night. And Eliyahu Navi does not show up the second night. And so this chassid is very disappointed. He had a promise from his Rebbe that he was going to meet Eliyahu Hanavi. And so as he bids farewell to the family and thanks them, they say, if you're thanking us, we thank you. As he exits the door, the balabait, the man of the house, his little son, he tugs at his father's coat and he says, will Eliyahu Hanavi come next year? He was the Eliyahu Hanavi. We could be the Eliyahu Navi to somebody else as well. We could be the person that can enlighten somebody that we all know of someone that's going through a challenging time. We could pick up the phone and be a sign of Yeshua for another person. And as we light the Chanukiah candles, that's the idea that I'm coming in as I'm coming into the holiday tonight. And I'm going to share a story of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And I very much resonate with this story. Of a Kala, a couple of days before her wedding, she asked to be in Yechidus. She asked to be in a private audience with the Rebbe. And she breaks down in tears and says, I need to call off this wedding. It's not going to happen. What do you mean? I give you a mazel tov, the Rebbe said with his kind and soft eyes. No. During the dating process, my soon-to-be husband saw me as kind, as loving, as patient, but I have such a temper. I have such an impulse of anger. Once you're going to be married, he's going to discover that about me. And then instead of getting divorced, I'd rather just not be married at all. So the Rebbe looked at her with with the softness that he is. And he said, I don't think it's a reason to call off the wedding. We all go through our challenges. God willing, Hashem will bless you and bench you with energetic children. And that will teach you patience and will teach you how to calm your temper. And in the meantime, I recommend that you should volunteer at the nearest hospital, at the nearest, like any place that you could be of chesed to somebody else. And this is when he mentioned the more that you give of yourself, the more of yourself you have to give. And this really does tie in with the person that we are commemorating today. Thank you, Jessica, for sponsoring. But before I came in to give over this class, I had called her up and I said, I want to be able to deliver something in relation to your mother. Because I wanted to be in accordance to who she was. So can you tell me one quality? Can you give me something about her that really, if you had to make it real for all of us who she was, what quality would that be? And so Jessica shared with me, I didn't mean to make you cry. Crying for good tears. It's good because we feel her presence now. Jessica shared with me that she was a woman that even in a very quiet community in Doulard des Armeaux, forever is meant from Montreal here. It's a very quiet, not so engaging Jewish community. She set up flour by the nearest shul for women, right? For women to grab so that they could do the mitzvah of Afrashat Challah. So much so that closest to her ending days, Jessica would go ahead and she would bring her mother's hand into the dough so that she could do one last bracha of Afrashat Challah, so that she could bench one last time. We say that one last mitzvah that we could do before we leave this world is counted for anything and everything. And in connection to the Rebbe that I shared, she was also very, very, very connected to the Rebbe. I'll share one story and then I'm going to tag you in for the second one. Her mother, she gave her daughter a beautiful picture of the Rebbe and a son lighting 6 candles. And it happens to be that her mother passed away on the 6th night of Hanukkah. And this child that is there with the Rebbe, so much so looks like the child that she has, Adam. And more so, Jessica, I'm going to invite you to say the story because it's a powerful one. Her mother being, a person that had emunat tzadikim, like we say, just the simple faith of a tzaddik, would often go and wait those long hours to receive $1 from the Rebbe. Go ahead.
Thank you first, everybody, for coming. It really means a lot to me. When I was born, I was born with a heart murmur, which is the malformation of the heart. And my mom brought me to specialists to get it evaluated, and they told her that I would have to get operated. So before the operation, she set a date with the doctors. She went and she traveled to New York, and she went to get a bracha from the tzaddik. And the Rebbe told her, not this year, do it next year. And he gave her $1 for each of us, for my father, for her, and for my brother-in-law. So when she came back home, she delayed the surgery and we did it the following year. many years ago, I was in university, and I got a letter from the hospital saying that if you got operated between 1984 and 1985, that God forbid, you were at risk of contracting a machala, AIDS, at the time with the blood transfusion. And Baruch Hashem, I got operated in 1986. So that was number one. And when my mom passed and I was cleaning the house, I happened to find the dollars, her dollar. And in the serial number of that dollar is the date that she passed.
Wow.
So, even Ishmeta,
Hmm.
there's a big connection with the Rebbe and a lot of other tzaddikim and
I found it was befitting to bring the Rebbe so we could connect it to her. But more than that, I know Jessica. She's one of the first people that I met when I first came here to Miami. And I think she exemplifies also this idea of constantly giving. Where can I be available to everybody else? Where can I help? If there's a challah bake, she's the first one that that her address is going to be written on that flyer and now I understand that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because so too she told me a little bit about her mother, and I could see that she took in those qualities that her mother so much exemplified. And so as we light the Chanukiah candles tonight, we will all be sharing in what your mom and yourself are, and that is givers, giving of other people. Like Yaakov Shwaki says, you know what, I just heard it in the car, because, the morning rides to the kids to school is all a lot of fun. He goes, and I'm not going to sing it because my voice is, but loving is giving, and giving is life. Like We Are a Miracle, his song, he goes, loving is giving. You want to love, you got to give, and giving is life. Hanukkah tonight teaches us how we are going to be a flame for ourselves and for others. Loving is giving, and giving is life. We want life, we must bring light onto this world. We want light onto this world, we must be givers to others. We must not stay trapped in our own self-doubts, our own self-worries, our own gratifications, our own pleasures. We must look to another Jew and say, how do I love you? I'll end with a story, actually, that just came to me now. In a city in Haifa, there was, I hope I get this right, there was a Vizhner shul that brought a big kehila in Haifa, which was, again, didn't have many Jews living at that time. So the shul was a successful one, and right near it was a very popular clothing store. And the rabbi of the shul, who was a Vizhner, I'm not saying it right, a Vizhnitz chassid, went to one of the rabbis, the Vizhnitz rabbis, and he said, this store is causing a lot of commotions to my kehila on a Saturday. There's a lot of in and out, and it's a big distraction to the synagogue that we go to. And what the Vizhnitz Rav responded to him left him with a very, very, very big impact. He said, the owner of the store, do you love him? Do you love him? I don't know him. All I know is that he bothers my minyan. All I know is that it's a big distraction because we have, things that are not in the atmosphere of Shabbat passing along my synagogue. I want to see my synagogue succeed. And he says, do you love him? Do you make it known that you love him? What do you want me to make him known? He's disturbing me. He's in my way. Go and love him. And so every day before he walked over to his shul, he stopped at the store, and the Israeli in his Israeli self, he says, like, Tazuz mi po, lo, ani lo soger. I'm not closing. Stop it. I'm staying open. And he goes, no. I just want to tell you, I love you. Stomer, you love me. You love me? Yeah. You don't even know me. I know you. I'm your neighbor. I love you. And he hugged him. And every day, every Saturday, every Shabbat morning, he would come up, knock on the door. It became a ritual that he would knock to this Jew, this very secular Jew, and tell him he loves him. So much so that it left such an impact on him that he closed his shop on Saturday. He even joined, even though he was not a Vizhnitz chassid, he joined his shul. There is a way to bring more light in this world, and that's by looking at your neighbor and sharing them that despite your differences, you love them. Hanukkah is a time of derabanan. It's not written in the Torah. Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, these are days that are Deoraita from the Torah. But we do Hanukkah with such a passion because we know that God loves it. It's like how I shared under the sukkah once that there's one level of love. And that's what you're told to do. Your husband asks you to do something because you love him, you do it. But then there's a second level of love. The nuances, yeah. The nuances, the hints. Sometimes you hear God saying, yes, it's not in the Torah. Hanukkah and Purim are not Toradic holidays. They're rabbinic holidays. But yet we're festive about it. We make it such a thing for the children. We sit with our children. We inject into it such a vitality because we understand that it's when our husband doesn't say something, but hints at something, it's strengthening that love to him even more. Not what he has to say, but the soft subtleties. Hanukkah is a soft subtlety that Hashem gives us and tells us, yes, it's not a Toradic law, it's a rabbinic law. But are you gonna inject in it a vitality? You're gonna give it a yich, like are you gonna give it a what's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna invigorate it. Are you gonna make it something special? Are you gonna make it really a holiday of light? And this year, B'ezrat Hashem, I'm coming in with a holiday of life, which means that the light that's within me, how am I going to go ahead and join that light to make it a greater light with your light, with your light, with your light, with your light, with your light. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should be matzliach this Hanukkah as we watch the dance of the flame, the dance of our own soul. And tonight we're only lighting one light, but maybe the significance of the second light will be that much greater as we know that we are spreading and spreading the light. Chag Sameach. Oh, yeah.